speed, I think you can understand where the Broncos are headed.
Well, I think certainly anywhere in that front seven where they could get some pressure on the passer, they needed to go. I know that Dwayne Clemens was a guy that appealed to them, and I thought that they would go and get a defensive end. But I think that for the value, maybe they should have gone Clemens. I know that Mobley is a guy who can do everything. May take a little bit of technique work with him coming from a small school like Kutztown. But, again, I think they got a good pick. They just need somebody who's able to put pressure on the passer, whether it's down defensive end or whether it's outside linebacker. Let's go to Mort down in Miami.
Well, Tommy, there's no question that Jimmy Johnson is looking for defense in this draft. And as the Broncos took the card up to the stand and you heard the name John Mobley, a linebacker from Kutztown, clearly Jimmy Johnson was disappointed to hear that one of their choices was gone. Another linebacker, Reggie Brown, is also on the list, and we've heard the name of Ray Lewis, Miami. And Darryl Gardner, defensive lineman of Baylor, the big guy slipping here, is going to be somebody else that we're going to have to talk about if they get down to 20 spot and Jimmy Johnson's sitting there without any trade action. All right, let's go back to Chris Berman in New York.
All right, Mort, well, we surmised that he was a Jimmy-type player. He is fast. So Denver takes a linebacker from a college in Pennsylvania. It's just not Penn State. But they like Mobley. Call him Dad's Mobley. We'll be back.
Attention utility vehicle and truck buying public. A special allocation of new Ford Explorers and all new F-150s has just arrived at Bell Ford. New 96 Ford Explorers, lowest prices ever. 1997 F-150s, all new body style on America's best-selling truck. This Ford Motor Company special allocation of Explorers and F-150s will positively save you money. Bell Ford, just minutes away, just off the I-17 freeway on Bell Road.
Now, Perkins has an offer that'll shake you up. Start with 4 scoops of ice cream. Your choice of chocolate, strawberry, or vanilla. Served with a 3rd-pound cheeseburger, a pile of fries, and Heinz ketchup. It's the big shake-up at Perkins. All this for only $5.99. How can you pass it up? Perkins. Breakfast, dinner, and everything in between.
Never, I can't believe that. With your wingspan, you could have gotten some real heat on the ball. And you know how intimidating Black Jack McDowell is with that goatee.
Uh-huh.
With that weird beard of yours, no one would have went near your heater. Never threw out an opening day pitch. You know, I think FDR threw out a couple and he wasn't even into baseball. I think he was more into, like, sailing and tennis. And Hoover, I don't even think he liked the sport. Harding, forget it.
We are back at the draft where Minnesota has a little over 10 minutes to make their selection. Pick number 16. So we're steamrolling into the second half of the first round of the NFL draft. Our coverage continues through tonight. We're on ESPN till 7 o'clock Eastern. And then as long as it goes, expected to be 3 rounds tonight, we'll move over to ESPN2 to conclusion. So wall-to-wall coverage today and then all day and all night tomorrow. Every pick on the tube. Get cable. We'll be back. Wow. Someone dropped off a Vikings helmet. Must have right outside with the tulips and all the early spring flowers up in Bristol, Connecticut. So we've had a Viking helmet in our garden. So I wonder what they will plant with them on the clock here for the Minnesota Vikings with 8 minutes to go in the first round. We're going to have a debate up here because they could go a lot of directions. But first, let's check in with Andrea Kramer down at Tampa Bay and get word on perhaps where the Vikings, and someone who knows that club quite well, Tony Dungy, as he used to work up there, where they might be going. Andrea?
Oh, Chris, I was kind of hoping to hear the debate first, but this is the best possible scenario for Denny Green. He knew he didn't have the ammunition to move up, but 3 defensive players that he thought would be there all are. So he'll have to choose from Marcus Jones, Tony Brackens, and Dwayne Clemens. I would think he'd be looking toward Clemens because he's an all-around player. He's a nickel rusher. He can drop back into coverage. He can blitz from the outside linebacker position and defend the run. He can also rush from the left side. And remember, they lost Roy Barker in free agency. They're going to look in to plug in Fernando Smith, but I certainly think that if they had Clemens in that position, that would be a very good fit. Chris, back to you in New York.
All right, Andrea, thank you. So the Vikings, now you mentioned 3 defensive linemen. Joe, you have a different theory. You think they should go somewhere else, even though maybe for value, and I love Tony Brackens, and we'll be talking about him because his background is unique. But
let me tell you, I mean, I really believe that any one of those three guys would probably be a good pick. But also, take into consideration, 2 years ago, the Vikings brought back Steve Jordan.
From?
Brown.
Thank you.
Last year, they brought back Mike Tice from really far back. All of a sudden, to me, it looks to me like there's a glaring problem at the tight end position in an offense where Warren Moon could certainly use somebody to help him block. If they're going to go with 3 wides, you're going to need that tight end up front. Now, the running back position is another problem. Robert Smith is out trying to solve the black hole. Someday he'll figure it out. You're not going to see him probably show up till the middle of possibly training camp. So the running back is definitely a possibility. Tight end, I think, would be a more likely possibility. If you take a look at their depth chart, you'll see that the needs are available. Smith, who we're not sure, Scotty Graham, good one, Amp Lee, James Stewart, Charles Evan, Bobby Phillips. They're all good runners. Robert Smith would be the guy that they would really want to come on. I think, though, a good choice for this football team here, if they don't go defense, would be at the tight end position, and Jason Dunn could be the man.
Could Leland McElroy be a good pick?
Possibility, but you still got
big enough.
You got a lot of. They need somebody to block back there as well. You know, a part-time guy doesn't work for them.
Well, let's see if they go defense, if they go tight end. The pick has come up as Minnesota is number 16 overall here in the draft. Dennis Green was done so well. They've hit so well on their early choices the last few years. Let's see what they do this time. We lied. The pick is not at the podium. But they start a lot of players. And I think of Washington, the corner. I think of Stussy on the offensive line. They have done very well.
Excellent job.
With premium picks in the Dennis Green era.
And I think they'll get one here. No matter which direction they go, offense or defense, they'll get one.
Now, we don't lie here at ESPN. We deliver.
With the 16th pick in the first round, the Minnesota Vikings select Dwayne Clemens, linebacker, University of California.
That certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
The Houston Oilers are now on the
Good
clock.
value for the spot, Mel?
Oh, great value. I think Dwayne Clemens, you see a Reagan Upshaw go a little earlier. Dwayne Clemens has the potential to be a 280-pounder. He led the Pac-10 in tackles for loss this year. He was only second in the nation behind Brady Smith from Colorado State. I really like this kid. I think that in terms of productivity this year, that's what you're looking for, is a guy that goes out and dominates. That's why Darrell Gardner is still on the board. He didn't at Baylor. Dwayne Clemens did that at Cal. Look at that, 82 tackles, 10.5 sacks, 28 times he got after the quarterback, and 7 block kicks. I think when you look at this season, what he did in the Pac-10 conference, I think he outproduced Reagan Upshaw, and Upshaw went earlier, and I think certainly Minnesota, with their defensive scheme, can really utilize a kid like Dwayne Clemens, who I think is a brilliant player who, like I say, could be in another year a 280-pound destroyer, Joe.
Well, you know, you really bring up an excellent point, Mel, is here's a kid who can grow. Some of these guys coming out, for example, Upshaw, he's pretty cut. He's pretty lean. There's not a lot of body fat there. Clemens is the kind of guy who has the ability to grow, and plus he played up as well as down, so you realize that he has athletic ability and versatility. Probably will be a down lineman, pretty much has to play down to be an effective player, Boom.
Well, we knew that when Reagan Upshaw went, that Dwayne Clemens would not be far behind, so the pair of California players going in the middle 10 here in the first round. It's the first time the two California players were picked in round 1 the same year. First time it's ever happened, so congratulations to those young men on defense. Let's go up to Bristol, where maybe Chris Fowler and Mike Gottfried and company, maybe they put that Viking helmet out there with all the flowers. Guys?
Else, Chris, you know, there's a lot of ways of keeping a score in a draft. Dwayne Clemens is the first Lee Steinberg client to get drafted, way down at number 16. He's used to having those guys like Keyshawn Carter at the top of the draft. Not a great recruiting year for Lee Steinberg as an agent, but pretty good, not by his standards anyway, but pretty good for other agents. Mike Gottfried, what about Dwayne Clemens? A little bit bigger than Reagan Upshaw as a pass rusher.
Well, you're looking at a tweener. In 1995, he played as an outside linebacker, which Joe Theismann mentioned, so gives you an idea he's a pretty good athlete. And he also played as a defensive end, so he can do a little bit of both. He was 215 as a freshman at Cal. Now he's 260, so it's just a load right here defensively that's going to be able to play. Let's take a look at his package.
Yeah, show what he brings to the table here as a spotlight.
You see him right here from the start. He sheds a block, and he's going to be able to stuff the run. Now, he's big enough and strong enough to play over a tight end and be able to control the tight end and anchor the defense on the outside. You're going to see him with just real quick feet and balance defensively and then making the tackle. See him chase, now make the tackle. A sure tackler that can control from the outside. Now, in here, he's going to make a little move on the inside, and beat a double team. Get two people blocking, he splits a double team, makes the tackle. He has good blitzing ability. And the other thing to remember about